am the senior mechanic with Dandy Horse Cycles. Today we're going to touch on another commonly asked question, and that is, how do I do a flat repair? So this particular case we're going to be focusing on the rear wheel, since it tends to be the more difficult one to deal with. So very first thing we need to do is make sure that we shift our gears down into the smallest ring combinations. So shift the front derailleur down to the small, and then shift the rear down to the small as well. We'll need to release the brakes, and we touched specifically on that in a previous video, so if you're unsure, you can always go back in and check our videos. Get that opened up. And remove the wheel, opening the quick release, and again, in a previous video, we touched on proper quick release function. So the wheel needs to come out from inside of the chain. It should just drop straight out. And we've got that off the bike. And let's air that down, because we have a flat tire and we need to be able to deal with it. So a couple of things that you're going to need, obviously, is either a replacement inner tube or a patch kit. In our case, we don't typically patch a lot of stuff here, so we have a new inner tube. And then you're also going to need some sort of tire levers. So we have a set of tire levers here. So starting with one tire lever, they're usually sold in sets of 3. You'll notice that the lever has a spoon end on this side, and then it has a little hook looking thing on the other side. And this particular end tends to generate a lot of confusion with customers. They don't understand what that's for, so we'll show you real quick. So very first thing we need to do once we've got this off is we're going to work 180 degrees away from the valve stem. We want to be over top of a spoke. So we're going to take the hook end of that tire lever and get that underneath the bead of the tire, just one, and that will start to pull out. And this is where this little hook comes in. That actually is designed to grab onto the spoke so that your lever can stay put and you can work a stubborn tire off by taking a second lever, moving over to the next spoke, and you can peel that off. And by the time you've got your third lever in, even the most stubborn tire is ready to come off. And we just simply start sliding that tire right off of the rim. So we've got half of the tire off. From here, it'll be a good idea to remove the inner tube. So that should just pull straight out without too much hassle. And old tube goes away, and the rest of the tire just pulls straight off. Super simple. If yours happens to be a little bit more stubborn, you can use that tire lever again, and if you need to, you can do the 1, 2, 3. So first one, second one, third one, pull it straight off. Once we've got that off, we're going to take a second to check to see what may have caused your flat. So if you're careful, if you overlap your fingers inside of the tire so that you're sweeping all points, just carefully run your fingers along the inner surface. And while you're going around, we're looking for anything big sticking out of the tire, and we're feeling the inside for the tip of something like a blackberry thorn or a piece of wire. And if you find it, you want to make sure you get it out. So you may have to dig around or use a pair of tweezers, but you want to make sure that you get that debris out of there. If you find nothing in the tire, take your finger and you want to go around your rim, and we're just checking to make sure that there's no sharp edges, making sure that the protective rim strip, this one is green, is covering fully all of your spoke holes. This one's in good shape. So we would take our new tube out of the box, and it's impossible, well, I shouldn't say impossible, it's almost impossible to properly install a dead flat tube. So you want to put a little bit of air in that tube just to give it some shape. And I always like to start with my tube completely installed inside of the tire. So I'll just go ahead and tuck that in. And this is the reason why we want to give it a little bit of air so it sits inside nice. And I like to line my valve up with a logo on the tire as well. Makes it easy to find. So we figure out which way our tire runs. If it's a directional tire, it will typically have some sort of indication on the side. In this particular case, there's just a slight V shape facing forward. So I know that's the direction of rotation. So we're going to pull that tube down slightly and grasp it so that we can control it. We want to hold it there so it doesn't pop up inside of the tire. So holding. And we'll take our rim. And we're going to line that valve up with the hole and get that pushed through. We'll get half of that bead on. So we've got one side off, one side on. And this is the tricky part, is getting things to go where you want it to go. So sometimes you have to hold it against your body. Sometimes it works on a flat surface. We've got a really, really loose fitting tire here. So for us, this will be a little bit simpler, but once we've got the first half on, we'll go back to the valve and we're going to start working that on. So just working with two hands instead of one hand and chasing the tire all the way around the rim, and slowly work that on until we get to the end. And in a lot of cases, you'll end up with a very, very difficult last, say 4 to 6 inches. If you have that tire lever comes back in again, come underneath the bead of the tire and very carefully grab the lip of the rim and just work that, and it will pop up into place. Just try to be careful. Don't do that unless you absolutely have to, because you can pinch your inner tube. So once that's on, grab your pump of choice, start putting some air in it. You want to do it in 2 stages. You want to get probably 10 or 15 pounds in there just to get started, and then check your tire to make sure it's mounted on the rim properly. Sometimes it can tend to pop up. If everything's good, go ahead and bring it up to the recommended pressure, which can be found on the side of your tire.